I believe mistakes are meant to be, but these are not those mistakes. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. It's been about a year since I started out with web development, and over this past year I have realized I've made some mistakes which I would like you guys to avoid doing while you're learning web development or you're studying out with web development. Now this is majorly because they are not something which you want to learn from. Honestly, avoiding these mistakes and doing the right thing is much more efficient and helpful to you than committing these mistakes. Number one is not focusing on the fundamentals. And the fundamentals of web development are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you're doing front-end engineering, if you're doing backend, it's some backend language. If you're doing full stack, it's probably just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You're using Node for your backend. Now, if you're not spending your hours focusing on this language, practicing these languages, and running for, say, using some framework or some alternative or some library or something, you're probably going to be facing a lot of problem in upcoming years. Especially, I see a lot of people who get into JavaScript, practice it for like 2 or 3 months, and just jump onto like React, Angular, or Vue. And it's going to be very harmful for you because you are still not comfortable using JavaScript. Using something which is built upon JavaScript to make your work easier is kind of challenging if you think about it. A perfect analogy for this is these 3 fundamental languages are like the foundation on which you will build your home, which is your whole web development career. Now, if the foundation is not good, the house is not going to be stable, and you're gonna have to repair it. You're going to do shit for it all the time, coming back and back and back. Instead, focus on the fundamentals, focus on the foundation at the very beginning, and then afterwards try a framework or library or something which you like and then stick to it. Number 2 is closely related to number 1, and I've kind of said it too, is using frameworks way early on, and especially for CSS for all your styling. Now, if you want to become a front-end developer, and if you're using only, say, Bootstrap or Tailwind for all your styling, you will probably face some problem in the future. As I said, using plain CSS is much better than relying on frameworks for all of your styling. Because, say, in the future, if you get a job, it's not necessary that those people will be using the same framework which you're using, or any framework at all. They might just rely on plain CSS. And at that point, you will be facing a problem because you're not used to using CSS. And CSS, let me tell you, is a very tricky and infuriating language. Sometimes it does stuff which you don't understand even after you have experience using the language. And it's just it is just the nature of CSS, because there is so much stuff getting added to it, and different browsers have different way of interpreting it. CSS kind of gets tricky. So it's very necessary that you have a grasp on at least the basic principles of CSS, and you can do a major portion of your styling without any help of a framework Number 3 is again somewhat related to front end only. I've been doing front end a lot. I'm just recently got into back end, so I don't really have a lot of things to talk about the back end. But the third mistake is trying to make everything you make, every design, pixel perfect to something which you have in your imagination, or the existing design which you've created on some designer. Now, I just said in mistake number 2, CSS is infuriating, and it sometimes does stuff which just doesn't make sense most of the time. And even sometimes when you're learning out, there are some things which JavaScript does which is quite questionable, but it just works that way. So if you find a bug, or if you find some styling mistakes, what I would recommend you is trying to isolate it on a separate project, and then once you understand what's really happening, then try to make that improvement on your original project. And if the bug still persists, then you probably know that the issue was in the environment which you are working on, and you can just fix it like that. But spending too much time trying to just make everything pixel perfect, it's gonna be quite difficult. As a beginner for you, it's going to be very, very, very difficult, and I won't suggest you spending like 2 or 3 weeks behind a single project trying to make it pixel perfect. It's probably not gonna happen, and it's okay. Even big companies sometimes have some errors, some bugs inside of them, and it's fine. Number 4 is trying to do a lot of stuff at once. Multitasking sounds like an amazing thing, but it is not. You might think trying to do 4 things at once is kind of saving me time and I will be ahead of the game quite closely and everything. But let me tell you, it doesn't work that way. Trying to learn about, say, pseudo elements and promises in JavaScript, and then also understanding semantic design at the same time, you're probably gonna overwork yourself trying to do all this 3, 4, 7 things at once. The better solution to do that is just select one thing you want to do, one thing you want to learn, do that, and then jump to the next thing. For example, say I want to learn about promises. I'm going to learn about promises in this week. I'm going to just do promises this week. Once I'm comfortable with promises, once I know how promises work, then I'm going to say go and learn about pseudo elements in CSS. And after that, I'm going to learn about, say, what is React and why do we really need React or something like that. And doing this one thing at a time, focusing everything on one thing, you're probably going to learn it a lot quicker than you would have if you were learning like 7 things at once. Now, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, you're kind of saving your time and you are getting ahead of the game. Number 5 is you comparing yourself to someone else's growth. Now, may that be your peers who have just like started at the same time you did, or maybe that be the people on the internet whose videos you're watching and you see them making this amazing stuff. You don't realize this, that the people on the internet, they probably have years of experience backing them on that technology, and that's why they are able to make such amazing apps. Well, you have just started a year back. Nobody's expecting you to make such amazing things so quickly. So, but the thing is, instead of trying to comparing yourself to them and feeling bad about yourself, learn from them. Learn how they structure their files, learn how they structure the code, learn how they think or solve a problem. Just seeing them, observing them, or listening through them helps you. This video is just that. I've spent a year working on web development. I've did these mistakes. I'm talking about it. You might just have been starting right now. You see this, you realize this mistake, you avoid doing those mistakes, and that's how you grow. And the second part about comparing yourself to your peers, you have to realize that each and every person has their own way of learning, their own capacity of learning, and their own speed of learning. So if someone who has started at the same time as you is doing a lot more than what you are doing, you shouldn't be feeling bad about that, because you are doing what you are doing best, and everybody has their own strength. And it's a lot more healthier to compare yourself to your old self. If you are learning something every day, if you're getting better at something every day, you're growing, and that's all that matters. You're winning from your old self. That's all that matters. Comparing yourself to others is kind of toxic, to be honest. So remember, do stuff on your own pace. Stick to the fundamentals. Don't try to do a lot of things as one, and don't try to make everything pixel perfect. And you're probably gonna learn a lot quicker and gonna progress a lot better in your career. So with that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. And if this is all you wanted to know, you can leave. But I have one thing to ask you guys. That is, I'm currently learning backend development with Node.js, Node and Express. So I might make a video about this in the coming future. But also let me know if you want me to make like a beginner series on like HTML, CSS and JavaScript for you guys. If you're interested, I'll be happy to make it. So let me know that in the comment section. Also leave a like if you gain something or learn something new. And with that being said, I will hope to see you guys in the next video. Till that time, stay fit, stay awesome, and stay safe. Bye bye.